China's ethnic unity law, a sky-level reading.
The moment. A chart set under a Cancer sun in the 10th house carries a particular charge. The 10th house governs government, national authority, a state standing in the world. Cancer is the sign of roots, homeland, belonging, the soil, and the people tied to it. When a government acts under this signature, it is acting on the question of who belongs and on what terms. China's new ethnic unity law, passed on the 3rd of July 2026 in Beijing, carries exactly that character. But Cancer is also a sign of shell and armor, protection that can become enclosure. The sun sits close to the midheaven, the chart's highest point, meaning the law is designed to be seen, a declaration of authority, not a quiet administrative adjustment. The chart's ascendant, the angle describing how an event presents itself to the world, is Libra. Libra rules balance, harmony, partnership, the scales. The law is framed as unity, as togetherness, as the harmonizing of many parts into one balanced whole. But Libra is also the diplomat's sign, and the surface of this event is carefully composed. The deeper machinery sits underneath. That machinery is striking. Mars and Uranus both occupy Gemini, in the 9th house, the house of law, religion, universities, and foreign affairs. Gemini rules language, communication, the press, schools. Mars is force, conflict, industry, the energy that drives and compels. Uranus is sudden reform, disruption, the bolt that rewrites the circuit. Together, in the house of law and the sign of language, they describe something precise. This law reshapes how language itself operates within the legal and educational system. The mandate for a common national language carries the driving force of Mars and the abrupt, systemic quality of Uranus, a structural rewiring of communication across the state's institutions. Neptune sits in Aries, in the 7th house of foreign relations and open adversaries. Neptune rules ideology, propaganda, collective dreams, the stories a nation tells itself about what it is. Aries is assertion, force, the pioneer's disregard for what came before. In the 7th house, this means the law is also a message directed outward, a posture toward the world that invites friction, not only an internal matter. Jupiter, the planet of law, the courts, religion, and expansion, has just entered Leo, the sign of sovereignty, authority, and the ruler. But Jupiter sits in a tight square to Chiron, the wound bearer, at only 0.2 degrees of orb. Whatever its stated purpose, unity, harmony, shared identity, the law's effect is to cut into the lived identity of those it subsumes. The Uyghur advocate who watches a language erased from the courtroom, the Tibetan family that sees cultural practice reduced to folklore under a national unity framework, they are living on the receiving end of that square. And underneath all of this, a quiet but telling aspect, Neptune sextile Pluto at 0.4 degrees. A sextile is a flowing, cooperative angle. Neptune is ideology. Pluto is power blocks, the death and rebuilding of institutions, deep structural transformation. When they flow together, the ideology serves the power transformation. The law's surface meaning, unity, harmony, common identity, and its deeper function, consolidating state power over minority identity, are not in conflict. They are working in tandem. This is perhaps the most important single signature in the chart. The cyclic index, a measure of global tension calculated from planetary cycles, sits at 821.8 out of a possible 1800, rising toward dispersal. The period is moderately charged, not at a peak, which means this law is not a single detonation but one move in a longer, sustained campaign.
What it touches. The People's Republic was founded on the 1st of October, 1949, under a Libra sun and an Aquarius moon. That Libra sun means China's national identity has always been framed in terms of balance and partnership. The revolution's promise of equality among groups, the united front of ethnicities listed in the Constitution. The Aquarius moon means the public mood is naturally collective, ideological, oriented toward the group rather than the individual. This is the emotional substrate of the nation. What the transiting planets show is a set of precise contacts to that natal chart, each pressing on a different pressure point. The lead-up is visible in the cardinal ingresses of the prior months, Mars entering Aries in April, Mercury following, then Venus and Mercury and the Sun all moving into Cancer through May and June. The government's attention turns month by month to the question of who belongs and how. The tightest transit is Mars trine the natal moon at 0.1 degrees, as exact as astrology measures. Mars is the military, conflict, industry, unrest, The moon is the public, the popular mood, the common people. A trine is an easy flowing channel. So the public mood is being energized, not forced but activated by martial and nationalist energy. The law is likely to land with a segment of the Han majority public not as oppression but as a rallying point. This makes it more politically effective at home and more dangerous for those it targets. The Uyghur and Tibetan communities are dealing not just with a state directive but with a public mood that may welcome it. Saturn, the state apparatus, borders, austerity, the establishment, sits opposite natal Neptune at 0.4 degrees. Neptune in China's natal chart represents the nation's ideological foundations. The revolutionary dreams, the collective vision of a multi-ethnic nation unified by socialist purpose. Saturn opposing it means the state is imposing hard structure directly onto that ideological substrate. The law takes something lived and cultural, ethnic identity as a practiced daily reality and converts it into a legal category subject to state definition and enforcement. This is the architecture of assimilation dressed in the language of unity. Pluto, power blocks, the death and rebuilding of institutions, deep structural transformation, makes it quincunx to natal Uranus, the planet of reform, sudden change in technology. A quincunx is an awkward 150-degree angle that demands uncomfortable adjustment. China's natal Uranus represents its capacity for innovation and reform, the engine that drove economic liberalization, the tech boom, the Shenzhen miracle. Pluto's contact suggests deep power consolidation is creating friction with that reformist edge, constraining the nation's innovative capacity by tightening ideological conformity, a genuine tension within the system, not just friction with external critics. Neptune squares natal Uranus at 0.6 degrees, the same reform versus ideology tension, now sharpened into direct conflict. The law says one identity, one language, one culture. The reform engine says multiplicity feeds growth. The square means that friction will not resolve easily. Saturn trine natal Mars at 0.6 degrees reinforces the enforcement apparatus. Mars in China's chart is its military, its industrial might, its capacity for coercion. Saturn trining it means the state is structurally strengthening the institutions that enforce compliance. The law has teeth because the enforcement machinery is being reinforced, not weakened. Finally, Venus, diplomacy, culture, social cohesion makes a quincunx to natal Jupiter, law, expansion, the courts, at 0.1 degrees. International diplomacy sits in an awkward relationship with this law. It is legally coherent domestically, but diplomatically costly internationally, particularly with nations that host Uyghur or Tibetan diaspora communities, or frame China policy partly in human rights terms. How it rolls forward. The period surrounding this law is extraordinarily dense with outer planet aspects, the slow-moving cycles that shape eras rather than weeks. Within 3 weeks of the law's passage, a sequence fires in succession, each adding a layer. On the 15th of July, Uranus sextiles Neptune, reform and technology flowing into ideology. The technological apparatus of enforcement, surveillance systems, digital language monitoring, AI-driven compliance tools gets a boost. The machinery of the law is not just legal, it is technological. 3 days later, on the 18th of July, Uranus trines Pluto, reform flowing into power transformation. The institutional restructuring the law enables proceeds with less internal resistance than it might otherwise face. On the 20th of July, 2 aspects fire simultaneously. Jupiter trines Neptune, law and ideology in harmony, the courts and the propaganda apparatus moving in the same direction. But Jupiter also opposes Pluto, law confronting deep power. Not everyone in the system may welcome the degree of centralization this law implies. There may be friction within the party apparatus about how far and how fast to push. On the 25th of July, the Neptune-Pluto sextile repeats, ideology continuing to serve power transformation. It returns in September and November, meaning this is not a moment but a season. The redefinition of ethnic identity is an ongoing project. Then the eclipses arrive. On the 12th of August 2026, a total solar eclipse falls at 20 degrees Leo. the sign of sovereignty, authority, the ruler. In mundane astrology, a total solar eclipse in Leo marks a turning point in how authority is exercised or challenged. Landing 5 weeks after the law's passage, it may bring a challenge to the leadership's framing, internal resistance, a defection, or external pressure that forces recalibration. Or it may consolidate the leadership's position. Either way, mid-August is a pivot. 2 weeks later, on the 28th of August, a partial lunar eclipse falls at 4 degrees Pisces. Pisces rules dissolution, the collective unconscious, what is hidden or dispersed. A lunar eclipse here surfaces what has been operating beneath awareness, the emotional toll on minority communities, the international reaction building quietly, or the internal party debate that has not yet broken into public view. On the 31st of August, Jupiter trines Saturn, law and state apparatus in harmony, the legal framework and the enforcement machinery align. This is the moment when the law moves from proclamation to implementation, when the institutional infrastructure is fully in place. Mars entering Cancer on the 11th of August brings enforcement energy directly into the homeland identity territory. The language mandates and cultural requirements may become more visible and more forceful through late summer and autumn. Watch for reports of school curriculum changes, court proceedings conducted exclusively in Mandarin, and administrative pressure on minority language media. Further ahead, Venus retrograding back into Libra on the 25th of October. Libra, being China's modern ruling sign, suggests a period of reassessment in China's diplomatic and cultural relations. The international response may crystallize here as nations decide how to respond: sanctions, diplomatic protests, or formal complaints at international bodies. Or the retrograde may describe China itself reassessing how the law is received abroad and adjusting its messaging. By late November, when Uranus trines Pluto again, the structural transformation will have been running for nearly 5 months. The trine suggests the transformation continues, but the tensions earlier in the arc, the Jupiter-Pluto opposition, the Neptune-Uranus square, indicate those frictions do not dissolve, they persist. The tarot imagery that hovers over this period is the Emperor, the card of rigid structure, authority imposed from above, the ordering of many into one. The surface of the law is justice, the Libran scales, the language of balance and unity, but what is being weighed is not equality. It is conformity. And beneath the Emperor sits the Tower's shadow, not collapse, but the kind of structural pressure that builds silently when diversity is compressed. The chart does not predict a Tower moment, but it does describe a structure whose stability depends on how much pressure it absorbs without release. Summary. China's ethnic unity law arrives under a chart that channels government authority over homeland identity through a Cancer sun in the 10th house, through legal force directed at language and communication with Mars and Uranus and Gemini in the 9th house, and with ideology serving power consolidation in a flowing cooperative way through Neptune sextile Pluto. It is a law whose surface is harmony but whose function is structural homogenization. Now let me walk through the key moments to watch. First, watch the public response in July. Mars trine China's natal moon at a mere 0.1 degrees of orb suggests the Han majority public mood may rally behind the law rather than resist it, giving it political traction. Second, watch for internal party friction around the 20th of July. Jupiter opposing Pluto on the same day Jupiter trines Neptune suggests a genuine debate within the system about how far and how fast to push centralization. Third, watch mid-August for a sovereignty pivot. The total solar eclipse at 20 degrees Leo on the 12th of August marks a turning point in how authority is exercised or challenged, potentially bringing internal resistance or external pressure to a head. Fourth, watch late August for what surfaces. The partial lunar eclipse at 4 degrees Pisces on the 28th of August may reveal the emotional toll on minority communities, or the quiet international reaction that has been building out of view. Fifth, watch the implementation window in September. Jupiter trine Saturn on the 31st of August, with the Neptune-Pluto sextile repeating on the 16th of September, signals the law moving from proclamation into operational enforcement. And sixth, watch late October for diplomatic reassessment. Venus retrograding into Libra, China's modern ruling sign, on the 25th of October may crystallize the international response as governments decide how to address the law's impact on Uyghur, Tibetan, and other minority communities. The law is a single move in a sustained campaign, and the chart suggests it will hold. But the tensions it generates between reform and ideology, between domestic consolidation and diplomatic cost, are not temporary. They are structural, and they will accompany the law into its implementation. Recent history and where this is heading. The China story doesn't stand alone. It sits under the same slow-moving sky, pressing on governments everywhere. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries, a roughly 36-year cycle that symbolizes old ideologies dissolving so new structures can harden in their place. When a state legislates identity itself, that's precisely the kind of move this alignment tends to accompany. Abstract ideals, unity, harmony, calcifying into enforceable law. Saturn's sextile to Pluto in Aries adds a quiet engine of crisis-driven consolidation, where power reorganizes with focused, almost surgical intent. Looking ahead, the August 12th total solar eclipse at 20 degrees Leo tends to mark turning points in how authority is wielded and perceived. The August 28th lunar eclipse in Pisces may surface what's been hidden, the emotional cost to communities living under such policies, or quiet international reaction building out of view. These same planetary currents are shaping stories that look entirely unrelated: elections, territorial disputes, economic shocks, because they all share the same astrological weather. The wheel turns for everyone, even when only one nation is watching. Before you go, if this has landed somewhere real in you, and I suspect it has, or you wouldn't still be here, that's worth sitting with. Maybe you carry an identity that's been pressured by a larger system. Maybe you're holding concern for those who do right now. Either way, what's happening isn't abstract, and you don't have to hold it as though it were. Two things from Occultic might help. A progression reading traces how your own chart has evolved over the years, the inner growth quietly maturing in you regardless of what the world does around you. When external forces press on identity, it helps to know where your own roots are growing and how far they've already come. And a standard tarot reading with the shadow work spread, 5 cards exploring the mask we wear, the wound beneath it, and the gift hidden in darkness, speaks to what this reading named the toll operating beneath awareness, the structural pressure building silently. Both are available at Occultic whenever you're ready. No rush, no pressure, just an invitation to give this the attention it deserves. This work and career path spread, drawn from the Smith-Waite deck on Saturday, July 4th, 2026, is not a personal career forecast. I am reading it as the career of China's new ethnic unity law. The sky today carries a full moon in Aquarius, Mercury retrograde in Cancer, and Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, so the mood is one of illumination and revision rather than clean launches. The dominant theme, Seeker, is staged harmony covering a real contest for identity. Current situation, 5 of Wands. The 5 of Wands, ruled by Saturn in Leo, lands as the current situation. China's ethnic unity law has kicked up competing narratives and enforcement pressure. It echoes the August 12th total solar eclipse at 20 degrees Leo and the Cancer Sun in the 10th house, asserting authority over identity. This is contestation dressed as order. Challenges, Queen of Wands reversed. The watery part of fire names the challenge. Resistance exists but lacks a clear channel. Mars trine China's natal moon energizes public mood behind the law, while this reversed queen says critics and minority advocates are visible yet sidelined. Mars and Uranus in Gemini's 9th house drive the legal linguistic push. Hidden factors, 6 of Cups reversed. The 6 of Cups reversed, ruled by Sun and Scorpio, exposes how nostalgia is weaponized. The multi-ethnic unity ideal reframed as heritage rather than living culture. This connects to Neptune sextile Pluto, ideology serving power consolidation, and Saturn opposing China's natal Neptune. The hidden factor is the conversion of memory into mandate. Advice/action, 2 of Cups. The 2 of Cups, ruled by Venus in Cancer, says the useful move is genuine reciprocity, not imposed unity. Venus in Cancer matches the law's 10th house Cancer Sun, asking who belongs and on what terms. After the reverse Six of Cups, this card asks you to find where real mutual recognition survives beneath official harmony. Potential/next step, Four of Swords. The Four of Swords, ruled by Jupiter in Libra, says the next step is a pause. Vigilance, institutional winter, or diplomatic reassessment. It echoes the law's Libra ascendant and Venus retrograding into Libra on October 25th. Following the Two of Cups, real concord leads first to stillness before the legal machinery fully aligns. Long-term outcome, the High Priestess, reversed. The High Priestess, reversed, ruled by the moon, means what was hidden does not stay hidden. It echoes today's full moon in Aquarius and the August 28th lunar eclipse in Pisces surfacing submerged costs. Opposite the Five of Wands, early public contestation gives way to revelations. Party debates, minority suffering, international reaction that reshape understanding. The arc I see here is clear enough. The law arrives in a noisy field of competing interests, faces resistance that cannot quite find its footing, and relies on reframed national memory to do its deeper work. The cards do not promise collapse, but they do warn that what is buried beneath the unity rhetoric will not stay buried. For you, the seeker, the reading is an invitation to watch for real reciprocity versus compelled conformity, and to trust that the fuller picture will surface.